All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tear down a master plan, a blueprint, really, for a modern media empire. And the whole thing is built on this huge, kind of secret financial shift that most people just aren't seeing.
Okay, let's just get right to it. The core secret is this. There's this giant funding gap that's opened up. Think of it like a chasm between the world we have right now and the world that AI is trying to build. And the people who get this, well, they're the ones quietly building empires in the background.
And if you want to put a number on it, yeah, it's a $41 trillion opportunity. This isn't just some market trend, It's a literal vacuum, a huge hole created by this massive shift in how our future is being built, and more importantly, how it's being funded. So, you gotta ask, how did we even get here? I mean, how does a $41 trillion hole just appear in the global financial system? Well, it all starts with a very real, very physical problem. We're talking about AI's unbelievable, insatiable hunger for power. Right, so we've all heard about the AI boom. That's not news. But what nobody really talks about is the brutal energy math behind it all. The demand for electricity is it's so huge and it's happening so fast that it's creating these, well, analysts are calling them 1 gigawatt shocks. Basically, you have a single data center popping up that needs the same amount of power as a small city, and they're appearing almost overnight. It's wild. And that unprecedented demand for energy, that's what creates what we're calling the credit gap. It's this massive chasm between the colossal amount of money needed to build all this new infrastructure and what the old school financial world is actually willing to risk. There's a huge disconnect. And this right here, this shows you the fundamental mismatch. On one side, you've got traditional banks. They're built for stability, right? They're risk averse, they're wrapped up in regulations. But on the other side, you have this AI energy revolution, which needs the exact opposite. It needs huge speculative bets on brand new, totally unproven infrastructure. So, who's gonna fill that gap, right? Because where the traditional players see all this unacceptable risk, a whole new class of financiers sees something totally different. They see a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And yeah, they are the solution. And that solution, it's coming from the world of private credit. You can think of it like this. It's big-time lending, but it's happening completely outside the normal banking system. This money is way less regulated, it's a lot more agile, and most importantly, it's willing to take on some serious risk if the reward is high enough. And right now, it is absolutely flooding in to fill that void. So what does this all mean, really? It means a handful of these huge firms are basically becoming the new shadow utilities. We're talking about names like Blackstone, BlackRock, and Brookfield. They're not just asset managers anymore. No, they're evolving into the groups that are actually financing and, in some cases, literally building the entire energy backbone for the age of AI. And let's be super clear here. They aren't just, buying a bunch of tech stocks. No way. They are funding the hard assets, the actual physical infrastructure. We're talking about the construction of brand new next-gen power sources, things like small modular reactors, SMRs for short. These are basically compact, scalable nuclear plants designed specifically to meet those insane gigawatt-level energy demands from AI. But here's the thing. These shadow utilities, they aren't just making financial bets. They're making geopolitical ones. Knowing where the money is going, that's only step one. The real killer advantage comes from understanding why it's moving in the first place. It's about decoding the global forces that are pushing all that capital around. And that is exactly where a strategic framework called the IRAP Protocol comes into play. It's a system, a data-driven way of looking at international relations and politics. And the goal is to predict how things like trade wars or big elections or even regional conflicts are going to mess with these huge financial shifts. It's all about seeing the entire global chessboard, not just the money moving on it. When you apply this protocol, you get what's called a macro shield. And look, this isn't just about defense. It's a strategic layer of geopolitical foresight. By really understanding the shifts in global power, in trade, in conflict, you can do more than just protect your investments. You can actually steer them right into the epicenters of change. Okay, so you've got all this incredibly complex analysis. How do you package it up for people? Well, the strategy uses this really distinct visual identity called strategic noir. And everything about it, the colors, the textures, it's all designed to scream authority and high-value intelligence. It's more than just branding, It's a signal. It tells you that you're about to get a serious insider's perspective. So the big question is, how do you take all of this stuff, the financial deep dive, the geopolitical foresight, that very specific branding, and actually turn it into a working, money-making digital empire? How do you operationalize all that insight? Well, the blueprint for this whole empire is built on 4 interconnected pillars. It's pretty smart. First, you start with the money in a vertical called capital clarity. Then you dig into the how, the tech itself, with something called system neural. The hidden ledger covers the system, all the operational nuts and bolts. And the glue holding it all together is the IRAP Protocol, which explains the why, the geopolitical forces driving everything. Each piece feeds the others, so you end up with a complete 360-degree picture.
And get this, the entire operation is powered by this hyper-efficient system called an agentic workflow. What that means is it basically uses a team of AI agents to do all the heavy lifting. They're scanning global intelligence 24/7, pulling out the key insights, and even generating the scripts and visuals. It's basically a machine for taking all that global complexity and spitting out clear, monetizable content at an unbelievable speed.
So when you boil it all down, it comes down to a single, really powerful promise: taking the pure chaos of 7 continents and distilling it all down into one unified ledger. The whole point is to give you total clarity in a world that feels more complex than ever. At the end of the day, what this whole blueprint shows us is that the real value, it isn't just in understanding finance or tech or politics by themselves. It's about understanding the connections between all of them. It's a huge bet that in the world we live in now, the most valuable skill isn't being a specialist, it's synthesis. And that leaves us with one last really crucial question to think about. In this interconnected world, is being an expert in just one thing enough anymore? Or is the ability to connect all the dots the real superpower of our time?